KTSM is your local election headquarters, and while the presidential race will grab most of the national headlines during this election cycle, there are several local races here in El Paso you should familiarize yourself with before you head out to the polls. Thank you for joining us for this KTSM election special. I'm Andy Morgan.
And I'm Monica Cortez. Now, one of those races is for El Paso County Sheriff, who is in charge of law enforcement in El Paso County. And joining us now are the candidates Minerva Torres Shelton and Oscar Ugarte. Thank you both so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, we want to let our viewers know that this is not a debate, rather a forum, a conversation with the candidates. With that being said, we want to give you both time to introduce yourselves to our viewers, as well as give a little background on your career's work. We're going to start off with Minerva first. You have 1 minute, excuse me.
Thank you so much, KTSM, and thank you, moderators, for having me. My name is Minerva, and I'm a candidate for El Paso County Sheriff. So I served in the military 6 years of active and inactive duty. I was a military intelligence sergeant. I then went on to El Paso PD, where I was a patrol officer for 5 years, working the streets of downtown El Paso. After the attacks on 9/11, I joined the FBI, where I spent there 21 years working complex criminal and counterterrorism matters. My last 5 years, I was a supervisory special agent. During that time, I had the honor and privilege of participating in a huge operation that involved the 56 field offices, over 80 task forces in 5 countries. I actually traveled to London to talk to the London authorities there about our mission together. I also had other opportunities to do FBI field office inspections. I also participated in agent-involved shooting reviews and did some internal affairs investigations. So I bring vast knowledge and experience to the Sheriff's Office.
All the time we have. Minerva, thank you very much. Oscar, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Good evening, El Paso. My name is Oscar Ugarte. I am your Democratic nominee for Sheriff. I am a first-generation American, born and raised here in El Paso, Texas. I graduated from Isleta High School. Right after high school, I started working for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a corrections officer. At the age of 21, I became a police officer for the city of Socorro. I then transferred over to be a court bailiff for El Paso County. And in 2016, I ran for office and I got elected as Constable for Precinct 1. For the past 7 years, I've been responsible and accountable with your tax dollars, overseeing Constable's Office Precinct 1. Now it makes it 21 years of service in this community. I have a bachelor's degree in business and I have a master's degree in criminal justice. And with your support, I am ready to be the next sheriff of El Paso County.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Oscar. Let's go ahead and get started with our first question, shall we? And this one we're going to start off with Mr. Oscar. So the first question is, how does your experience and background make you the most qualified for the job? And what's your vision for the Sheriff's Office, especially since we've been under the command of Sheriff Richard Wiles for the last 16 years? Oscar?
First of all, I want to thank Sheriff Wiles for his over 40 years of service to this community. As your next sheriff, I want to build community policing. I think it is very important for law enforcement and the community to have a good relationship, because the community are the eyes and ears for law enforcement. So I need them. As the next sheriff, that is going to be one of my priorities. Also, I want to address violent crimes. I want to address mental health. And I want to give the proper training and resources to my staff to better serve this community.
Awesome, thank you. Minerva, the floor is yours.
So thank you so much, and I obviously already went over my background. So I bring vast knowledge and experience to the Sheriff's Office. So the Sheriff's Office is a huge organization, and there's no time for learning. Again, I've overseen doing arrest search operations, whether it be search warrants or arrest warrants. I've also overseen SWAT operations. Because of the experience that I have, I am ready to come in, take a role. What are the things that I want to do? I want to build the community policing. I also want to invest in the employees. For far too long, employees have been forgotten in the sheriff's office. So I want to invest in them. I want to bring visibility, transparency, and accountability to the sheriff's office, which it doesn't exist right now. And the reason I say that, if you go to their website, the last annual report that is up there is from 2016. What does an annual report tell you? It tells you how your hard-earned money is being used and what kind of crime we're seeing. So those are the things that I want to change in the sheriff's office. I want to work with the community in order to address the problems that we have. Again, my opponent doesn't have that experience. He's never done an operation for a search warrant, for an arrest warrant, never done an investigation. So if you haven't done that, how do you plan to lead an organization? His response recently was that he's not running to do an investigation. However, if somebody in your agency is conducting an operation such as that, who's going to know that if they're doing it right, if they're following policy, if they're following the law? So if he's not the leader, then who is?
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Minerva. Are we good?
I have 1 minute.
Yes.
To address, obviously, my 21 years of service for this community speak for themselves. And yes, I have said before, I'm not running to be a corrections officer. I'm not running to be an investigator. I'm running to be the administrator of this sheriff's office. And for the past 7 years, I've been doing that as a constable. I built relationships with local officials, state officials, and federal officials, because that's what it takes, building relationships and those communications to proper serve this community. So as far as not having experience, I think my experience speaks for itself, serving this community for the past 21 years.
Thank you so much, Oscar. And the one thing that our viewers may not know is on this forum, it's a little different. Each candidate gets a minute if they choose to use it for rebuttal.
All right, moving on now. Sheriff Richard Wiles has said on multiple occasions that the county jails are nearly at capacity and that it's putting even more of a strain on our county's jail systems. How would you tackle this issue? And Minerva, we'll start with you.
Mm-hmm. So I think El Paso has changed in the last recent years. We've seen a lot of immigrants coming across, which is overcrowding our detention facilities. So it is a hot topic, but one of the things that happened recently was SB4. Still in the courts, we don't know what's going to happen. But a lot of things that people don't realize is because of our county commissioner's court didn't have those early conversations with our state representatives, we lost out on funding that we could have obtained for our detention facilities. And so those are one of the things that I want to change, because we as the taxpayers are the ones who are paying for that. So I want to change those things. Another thing that people don't realize also is when you book somebody, it takes 3 hours to book, at least 3 hours to book somebody. And it's not just one agent or one officer or one deputy. It takes 2 people to show up and book somebody. So we need to change this. And who does it require? It requires somebody with experience to come in and make those changes, to make those hard conversations. And again, I'm here and I'm running for the people, because we need representation. We need visibility, transparency, and accountability. And that's why I'm not taking endorsements right now from politicians, because I want to do what's good for the people. We want changes in our community. We are overtaxed and we need change. Thank you.
Minerva, thank you. Oscar, how will you tackle overcrowding at county jails?
Yes, that is a good question. And the overcrowding, it's not because of migrants. The overcrowding that we have at the jails right now is because of the backlog in the court system. We had 2 issues happen. We had COVID, and then the district attorney with the fallout they had in there. So I do want to work with the district attorney's office. I want to work with council of judges. How can we move these cases forward so the inmates, either if they're going to be found guilty and sent to trial, so we can send them to TDCJ, or if they're going to be released because they're found innocent. That's the backlog right now. And I want to work with our state legislators. If this backlog is happening across the state, then we need state funding to help us subsidize a county budget.
Oscar, thank you.
If I could rebuttal, please. So about a year ago, my opponent was asked, what would you do when it came to the SB4? His response was, I will talk to the county commissioner's court. Well, the county commissioner said, this is not our problem, this is a federal problem, so we lost out on funding. I would not go to the county commissioner's court. I can have those conversations with them so we can receive the funding. And he brings another point about what happened to the DA's office. What happened to the DA's office is that we hired or elected somebody who was not ready to take the job. And this is why I am passionate about running, that we need somebody who knows what they're doing, who has done investigations, who has overseen operations. How can you lead if you haven't been there? Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much for answering our questions so far. We do have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Welcome back to this KTSM election special, and joining us for tonight's forum are the candidates for El Paso County Sheriff, Oscar Ugarte and Minerva Torres Shelton. Once again, as a reminder to our viewers, this is not a debate, but rather a forum conversation with each of the candidates. Monica.
Let's go ahead and start off with Oscar, and the question is, East El Paso is rapidly growing and is heavily dependent on the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. How do you plan to continue meeting the demands to serve this area, and what does it look for, the outlook for the current staffing?
So speaking with the Sheriff's Office Association, they have addressed that the staffing tables have not been looked at after all the growth. So I do want to sit down and first of all, public safety is expensive, very expensive. So we do need additional funding to properly serve these stations. The Clint station, for example, right now, they are responsible for patrolling from Eastlake, which has had a lot of growth, all the way to Tornillo. So we do need additional staffing to address the growth, and also Montana Vista, the Montana Vista station also patrols part of Eastlake, the north side of Eastlake, and the growth in Montana Vista. So the first year, I want to evaluate the staffing tables for the Sheriff's Office, and for the next budget, I want to work with Commissioner's Court and the Commissioner for that area to get funding to properly serve this community.
Thank you. Minerva?
So I think that's an excellent question. Thank you for asking it. Like I mentioned before, we are overtaxed on everything. I promise you that I will do everything that I can not to raise our taxes. Do we need additional deputies? Absolutely. But here's what I plan to do. I plan to work with the small police departments, and I plan to work with the community. So we have a lot of Hispanics who are small business owners. I'm going to create a culture of community policing. What does that mean? It means that you talk to business owners, you have roundtables, because that's what we do. That's what I learned in the Bureau and the FBI, is they put us in communities where we don't know anybody, and we have to go create those relationships. And that's how we make changes. We build cases based on those relationships. And in order to get more people to apply to the Sheriff's Office, you gotta invest in the people. You gotta change the morale that currently exists. And the way you do that is by investing in the employees. I wanna create a very robust program in the high schools in order to attract those young people to come in and apply. So that's how we're going to change the culture. That's how I'm going to be able to address and also participate in some federal task forces, because those are force multipliers. When you participate in those federal task forces, something happens in the county, you're earning more bodies, federal bodies, who are coming to assist you in those cases that are happening in the county.
Thank you.
Oscar?
The Sheriff's Office is responsible for patrolling unincorporated areas. So there is no small police departments to work with. It's just the Sheriff's Office that's patrolling these areas. So you cannot tap into small police departments. And I do not want to overwork my staff. And the reality is we need more staffing. And public safety is expensive, and I want to go and represent my employees well, so they feel valued, they give the proper training, and also their mental health. You know, it's a reality. El Paso is growing, and we need to invest and increase the staffing.
Okay.
So if I
Yes.
could rebuttal. So one of the things, again, going back to taking endorsements, haven't made deals or promises to anybody other than to the people that I've been talking to and knocking on doors. Why do I say that? So my opponent has already selected people from the sheriff's office who are going to lead that organization. I have not selected anybody. Why? Because I know law enforcement like the back of my hand. I know what is expected to get done, to get the job done, and that's what I plan to do. So that's how I know that the employees have forgotten for too long, because the people have forgotten about the employees. They're too focused on themselves. So that's the changes that I want to make, and I can make those changes because I haven't made any promises to anybody other than to the community and to the employees of the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, Minerva.
Can I get a rebuttal because she's making some allegations? Yes, I have received endorsements. You know, I've been an elected official for the past 7 years, and because of my work ethic, I built these relationships with other elected officials. As far as promising jobs, I talked to the sheriff's office, and I believe there's a lot of talent inside the sheriff's office that I'm going to promote from within. You know, I'm not going to bring people from the outside. You know, there's a lot of talent in the sheriff's office that are ready for promotion, and yes, I will promote from within.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to go ahead and proceed with our closing statements from both our candidates.
Minerva, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. So thank you so much for the opportunity again to be here. Thank you to the viewers for giving me a few minutes of your time. Again, I've gone over my experience. I served in the military. I was in El Paso PD for 5 years as a patrol officer, and then I was in the FBI for 21 years. I bring vast knowledge and experience to the sheriff's office. But I do want to take a moment here to address something that I couldn't get in earlier, and I think it's important for the viewers to know. My opponent talked about how he has taken endorsement but has not done favors. One thing that I do know is the law is very clear. My opponent, if he wanted to run for a sheriff, he needed to resign as a constable. That's what the law says. It's very clear. And the only reason why he's able to be able to be here and get paid is because of the endorsements
All
he
right,
received.
Minerva,
Thank you
very
so much.
Thank
Oscar,
you.
1 minute.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the El Paso community. I am ready to be your next sheriff, serving this community for 21 years. And to address what my opponent just said, obviously she has not read the law properly. We don't want somebody that only partially reads the law. The law states that once you announce to run, then Commissioner's Court appoints somebody. At this time, Commissioner's Court has not appointed somebody, so I am not breaking any law. And I want to continue to serve you. Election starts already next Monday, October 21st. It runs through November 1st, and November 5th is election day. And I can't do it without you. So one more time, I'm asking for your support. El Paso, muchas gracias.
Oscar, thank you very much. Minerva, thank you very much for being here and having this important conversation with our viewers. We appreciate you.
We really do. Thank you so much, and we will see you here tonight at 10.